Julie, thank you for those kind words. You're very generous. CED, I am honored, I'm humbled. This recognition is really the recognition of American dream. This is recognition of the power of women. My wife joined me, the first startup, and agreed to put our lives on the line, and we did all these startups together. Imagine if every country starts using the full power of women. This recognition is about employees. We all talk about it, but I believe that it's all about people. It's all about teams. Find the best of best and bring them along. We all have only 24 hours in a day. It's a great team that makes things happen. And for me especially, for Zscaler especially, it is recognition of thought leaders, progressive customers who embrace disruptive technologies that companies like Zscaler bring to the table. Because disruptive technologies create, what do you call it? The immune system reaction. Where when new technology is brought in an enterprise, the immune system says, stop it. When we brought Zero Trust, everyone wanted to keep their firewalls and VPNs. That's the battle you have to take. And that battle, across the whole thing, all of us as CEOs have to deal with. Inertia is so powerful, right? That's a basic rule of science. We as CEOs need to change, drive it, and being able to look beyond what's being done and challenge the status quo. Reshma talked about being an accidental CEO. I'm an accidental CEO. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. As Julie said, I was born and raised in a tiny village in the foot of the Himalayas, northern India. And we got electricity after I finished my 8th grade, running water after I finished my 10th grade. But I was a good student. I loved to study. I studied everything I could. So I was number one in my class, in my state, in my district all the time. And I recall one day in my little village, I saw a plane going up and saying, will I ever be able to fly on that plane? And I was a good student, got into IITs, did my engineering, and just like lots of students do, I didn't know what to do. Since people said medicine or engineering are two good areas, I didn't want to deal with blood. So it became engineering by choice. I didn't even know what major of engineering to take. I looked at the list: mechanical, chemical, civil, electrical, this thing called electronics engineering. Looked at it, it's radar, television, radio, must be good. That's how I picked up my discipline. Came to this great country to do my master's, like many students from India came. And that too, somewhat by accident, because though I got a scholarship from University of Cincinnati, I forgot that I need to buy a plane ticket to get here. And in my village, my parents, there's no way to get loans of anything. And luckily, as I researched, I came across this Tata Loan Scholarship for studies abroad. And that's how they gave me a one-way plane ticket and $200. And they said, go and be successful. And if you become successful, return this money so we could give it to the next student. So that's, without that, I wouldn't be here. When I came here, did my master's, started doing software engineering, and I thought I will be a software engineer for the rest of my life. And I worked for this small startup in Cincinnati, Ohio, which built financial systems for nursing homes and pharmacies. And one day, the only sales engineer we had in the company called in sick. And my boss said, you wrote this system, why can't you do a demo to this customer? Forget they gave me a demo. I had never talked to a customer. I was I was 24 at that time. But I prepared, the demo went well, and I drove home that night and I said, that was a lot more fun than writing code all day long. That's what made me think I need to change. I went back to school, did my MBA part-time, and then I said, what's a good company to really to get a job in sales and marketing? I called IBM's local office. They hired me. IBM played an important role for me to teach the business world out of the engineering world. And that's how I moved into, by accident, the business world. And I said, I moved up the food chain, IBM, Unisys, NCR. And I thought I'll be a corporate exec for the rest of my life. And then in 96, 97, 96, I was reading about this company called Netscape, Mozilla browser, World Wide Web. I said, wow, this is cool. Without any special software, the simple browser, you could actually access information sitting out there. This technology got to take off. And if it does, we're all getting connected to this internet thing. So cyber could become a big issue because anyone could get to any companies. And I looked at some of the companies that are building firewalls and said, that's great, but who will know how to design, architect, deploy these things? So the idea came about startup by accident. My wife, who is also in information systems and MBA in finance, we would talk. And I said, if this young guy, Mark Andreessen, could do a startup, why shouldn't I do a startup? I have no DNA of entrepreneurship in my family of small-scale farmers. I never dreamed of doing a startup. But as I dug into it, the conviction started building. I think one thing drove was I love to read and learn. So when I go into any area, I just go deep and deep. Then I learn, conviction starts building. Once you have conviction, it just becomes fun. You go deeper in. That's how I started to say, let's do a startup. And security space was brand new. The idea was, let's do something new that no one has done before. There's no solution to things out there. And that's great. So put a small business plan in place and went to actually about 10 VCs in Atlanta. They all said, you know, startup experience. So now my wife and I again think, wow, startup, man. The only way to do it is to put our life saving on the line. And after a week or 2 weeks of thinking about it, my wife said, go. And I tell you how the final decision happens, because we all as CEOs have to make decisions. I mean, this was the biggest and probably the best decision of our life, but putting life saving on the line. What's the worst thing that can happen? The company fails, money loses. Can we start all over and find a job? The answer, yeah. So that's how we moved on. The company took off, got acquired by a large company. 70 of my 80 employees in Atlanta became millionaires. It was a big, big story at that time. So, wow, this can't be real. Startups are hard. It must be a fluke. So we should try again. This time, we did not need to go to any VCs. We could fund it. And we said, I can only put so much money in one startup. Let's do multiple, but let's do it like having kids. You stagger them 1 or 2 years apart. So we did 3 companies. Good luck, good timing, great teams. They became successful, got acquired by large companies. And that's when in 2007, 2008, I was sitting around. I had no interest in doing one more startup and selling it. We wanted to do something big, something lasting. And that's how Zscaler was born. So one of the thinking and learning here is, being able to think big, outside the box, take some risks, drive it, because otherwise, if you tweak your decisions, the results will be tweaked too. So that's one Zscaler's notion was. This whole security being done by these firewalls and VPNs and network security is good in the old world, pre-internet. Now, information is everywhere, applications are everywhere, users are everywhere. Where are you going to keep on building these modes? And that's how we've worked on figuring out the opposite of firewalls, building a switchboard that connects things to things in a zero trust fashion. And a lot of my progressive customers, thought leaders are here. Without them, we would have never been successful. I'll give you a word about studies we do sometimes. I like to say, when you do something incrementally making better, you should listen to your customers. When you're doing something totally disruptive, don't listen to your customers. Right? When I took my proposal to 10 CISOs early on, 6 will say you're crazy, 3 will say good idea but not for me, and 1 would say I like it, let's work together. 1 out of 10, that's 90% knows. Which survey and study will say go and do it? Which VC will fund that kind of stuff? But I had the conviction it had to be done, it had to be right. I knew the person, the CISO who started. He was progressive, thought leader, wonderful. And we could only handle 1 out of 10 at that time. Couldn't really handle any more than that. This is how the story came around. Today we got over 8,000 employees. We serve over 9,000 customers, over 55 million users around the globe, about 45% Fortune 500 companies. And it's all great teams, great customers that has driven us. And I think part of the thing I share is often people say entrepreneurs can't scale companies, or people come to large companies can't drive small companies. It's all possible. We just need to go through our transformation, thinking about how to adapt and change ourselves. I mean, that has been a journey of Zscaler. I want to thank CED for recognizing Zscaler, its employees, and its customers. Thank you all. America is such a wonderful country.